Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. Previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, New Japan, AEW, everything in between, every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Saturday and every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox. Sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, that guy, James J., alongside the leader of Squad, Kaliko Yachts.
Happy holidays, everybody. The end of the year. You know what that means. Top five. Do-do-do-do-do-do. I wish I had that little soundboard. Resolution by a soundboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those little,
Maybe, Christmas is in 2 days, so maybe you'll get one.
one of those ones where I could go, Don DeMarco.
And
One
being
time.
out Consider Dust, who is not here tonight.
Who actually has a soundboard.
He does. Maybe he could gift it to you. It's still a great day for wrestling with, and obviously everybody in the world, as it is Christmas in 2 days. Happy Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, the whole shebang for whatever you celebrate. Uh, we are coming off celebrating two incredible some really awesome interviews on the 19th, which was Jake Painter, and on the 20th, we had Angel Blue. Incredible interviews, incredible individuals. Um, I cannot recommend those interviews enough. Coming up this upcoming Wednesday, we have Katrina Creed, once again a Canadian from Canada. Um, we talk about being the women's champion in that area, her first trip down to the States, getting her driver's license, Metal Gear Solid, and Speedball Mike Bailey, and a hell of a lot more. Cannot recommend that interview enough. But it's not about putting ourselves over this time around, because we are wrestling with our 2023 top five picks. Now we are going to be um, picking our top five uh, tag team wrestlers, our top five female wrestlers, and our top five male wrestlers of 2023. Um, there's not really a lot to explain. That's pretty much how it's going. Um, so we will start with our top five tag teams. So Kaliko, could you tell us what is number five?
I will say that I think the tag team list was the hardest list because of the fact that, it wasn't really a lot of specialty tag teams. It was just a bunch of singles people acting as tag teams. 1 second.
Right. There are some interesting names, to say the least, on mine as well. Um, but we will, interchange as we go along. So, can you tell us number five?
So number five for me, I picked the Judgment Day.
So,
Granted, they released in
well,
that year, but they've been the team division.
I mean, they are the current tag team champions. So, yeah.
And they beat the team that main evented night one of WrestleMania, albeit it took like all of them. I feel like it's like Freebird rules with them, so I could, you know what I'm saying? So it it's kind of tricky with them, but we're gonna go with the Judgment Day as number five for me.
Okay. Now, okay, I lost my notes. Hold on. Okay. So my fifth tag team of my top five, maybe pretty crazy, pretty bizarre, but they are pretty deadly. I didn't necessarily like these guys when they first came to WWE, but the whole injury angle with Elton, um, the whole campaign they had where he was in a wheelchair for an arm injury, I eat shit up like that all the time when WWE does it, and it was entertaining as shit, and I really enjoyed it. And I mean, they're not doing too bad in the tag team division. It's still to be seen what they will be doing going forward, but from an entertainment standpoint alone, that's why they're my number five.
Oh wow, pretty deadly.
Yeah,
The only thing that threw me off is that they didn't wrestle a lot, and that's where it's like, ugh, you know.
yeah.
And that's the only thing about them. But other than that, yeah, that match they had with New Day this year actually was a lot better than most people could give it credit for. So yeah, that's a good one. Number four. Let me see. Number four for me. Huh. This is gonna be interesting because number four as a tag team. Now, granted, they're kind of in that same boat as Judgment Day. I'm gonna go with Damage Control.
Ooh,
And this was the original three, not the Captain Planet team that they have now. So, but keep in mind they had the tag titles. They were formidable because to me they were available. Even with Dakota Kai being out, you just never felt they were out of the picture, right? And that to me was the key.
okay,
They
okay.
were always in the front. They were always in the forefront. They were always causing hell on both brands, and that's the thing too with Judgment Day. They both were holding, they were raising hell on both brands. So to me, those two, and plus those two teams that I mentioned, are the reason for War Games this year. So Damage Control number four, and plus it's Bailey. I can't say no to Bailey.
Think we're getting a sneak preview of your top five women, but my number four is Catch 2-2. TJP and Francisco Akira. I legitimately believe this is the best work TJ Perkins has done in his entire career. He's putting out some real quality of work matches, quality of opponents. He's guiding Francisco Akira, um, who is not as experienced. And they've held the IWGP Junior Tag Team Championships this year. they've had matches that were better than they honestly should have been. And just a couple months ago, they won um, the New Japan, the junior tag tournament as well. So, I mean, the 2023 was nothing to sneeze at for these guys, to say the least. All right,
That's a good pick. Good
and I
pick.
mean, they were number four, and they'll catch 2-2. 2 plus 2 is 4. It made sense.
Hopefully they have a good 2024.
We shall see.
There you go. We shall see.
All right.
So let's see. Number three. Number three. I picked FTR.
Hmm.
They are the model. They are consistent. They were basically the ship of AEW's tag division for 2023, whether we like it or not. And honestly, I can make the argument they're the only tag team for AEW in that division, minus the Bucks.
You might not be wrong about that.
So yes, FTR, AEW's steady as steady ready tag team anchors. So for everybody to say I'm not an AEW fan, there you go.
Well, we're kind of on the same page with top three being from AEW. I did have some difficulty coming up with a number three. But the only name that really kept coming up in my mind was the acclaimed. Maybe not fully in the tag picture this year, but they did win the trios titles. They have that fantastic, sizzle belts. They're selling those from fingers like motherfuckers. Um,
Wait a minute, scissor belts? Are you effing kidding me?
I mean, yeah, I'm kind of grasping at straws, maybe at
Oh,
scissors.
no, they cannot have. Okay, I just saw it. Okay, $5,000 though, bitch. Please, you tripping?
And I mean, they're entertaining. I'm always interested in hearing what Max Caster has to say. Anthony Bowens is fantastic in the ring, and when you have Daddy Ass in your corner, you could never go wrong. So, the acclaimed is my number three.
I don't know about that. The Young Guns had Daddy Ass in their corner, and it didn't go.
But I mean, if they would have accepted being ass boys, maybe they'd be in a different position.
Okay, touche.
Number two.
So I'm just gonna give you a full disclaimer. Number two and number one are basically synonymous with each other. Uh, Personally, I could switch these two out, and it's mainly because they basically had the match of that night at WrestleMania 1. And, oh, not WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania this year. Jesus Christ.
Night one of 33.
Yeah. But my number two and number one, I mean, they're synonymous. You can flip flop them to me. Sami Zayn's, Kevin Owens, and the Usos. I think that that 3 to 4 month period was the hottest the WWE tag team has ever been in years. So hot that they made it main event night one, oh, which pissed off the women. but it was the right call. So those two tag teams, even though they're not broken up, but and I don't. I can only say this for the people who weren't there. You had to have been there for that match. And yeah, everyone knows the build up, but that payoff was the best payoff of 2023.
One of the best payoffs of all time.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
So those two are I can interchange them. Me personally, I would probably put the Usos on top because at that time they were the longest reigning tag team champions. Uh, so yeah, them two.
well, you broke the rules a little bit. Announcing two and one in the same one. So
Well,
I'll
because I couldn't, I felt bad because I couldn't put one without the other. Because to me they're intertwined.
right. So
That's why they're my two and one.
I'll do my number two, which is similar to your number two, and that is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Nobody was hotter as a tag team this year than these two guys were. No story was better told than Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And after that Mania match, they went on to have like an 8-month reign as champions. So yeah, it was pretty memorable to say the least. And obviously, I was there when they won the championships as well, so it is sentimental as well. So yeah, all around positive vibes when it comes to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And number one, might be a little shocking to people, but it's FTR. Um, they are legitimately a tag team that is actually a tag team that tag teams, unlike a lot of the tag teams that we've spoken about on our list.
Exactly.
And for that reason, that they are number one. They've had quality matches. They've had fantastic matches. Um, they're literally the only tag team that is defending pro tag team wrestling to make people say, "Hey, this is good shit." Um, they won. They retained the titles in Wembley. They had that 2 out of 3 falls match with Jay and Juice. All respects goes to FTR.
Hey, can't respect it. Gotta respect it.
Oh yeah. All right. Now that we talked about, now we'll take a break from our top fives list and talk about um some of the best events that took place this year. Um, WWE arguably had the the most quality of streaks when it came to their pay per views this year. No, well, their PLEs, I should say.
Yes, but I think their best event, I, I, how could I, their best event was Backlash in Puerto Rico.
I mean, WrestleMania 39 Night One.
Was like, yeah, it's up there.
If that was a standalone WrestleMania, arguably a top five WrestleMania, 100%.
I still think it's top five even with that night one, even
Included
with
with
night two.
included with night two.
Hmm.
I mean, if the match with Edge and Balor didn't go as horribly wrong as it did, and I I don't know if Shane McMahon um carrying his quad added to the show or took away from it.
It added for Snoop. It didn't add for nobody else.
But yeah, I mean, WWE killed it when it came to PLEs. WrestleMania, Backlash, um, SummerSlam was a
Money in
little
the
better.
Bank.
Yeah, Money in the Bank. Um, what about AEW paid previews this year? It seems like they just went on and on and on.
I mean, they had a couple of good ones, but some of them were pretty lengthy. I think the jump that AEW, that WWE is using to manage all of 2023 was just like, okay, the big four are just going to be in the States, everything else overseas. And that worked charms for the crowd. It worked charms because it got people geared up. It was just that formula was genius. Because when Bad Bunny popped out, you would have thought Jesus himself walked out.
And I mean, the
So
crowds for the American PLEs was somewhat um on the louder side as well. When they were in Pittsburgh, that crowd literally ate everything that they were giving them. Like they were into all of it. Um,
yeah, I mean, yeah, but that was after they saw Germany. Well, not Germany. That was after they saw London, and Puerto Rico, and Canada.
that's right. We started. Well, we didn't start, but Elimination Chamber was in Montreal. It kind of started all of this, chain reaction of amazing crowd reactions.
Yeah,
Well, going trying to be a little bit fairer here, I'll give uh, AEW some credit. All In wasn't terrible. It was probably their best event that they did. Um, Maybe it hindered a little bit that All Out was literally the next week, and that's like it was like 24 hours of AEW in literally a week span. But that's a
hmm
story for another time. And um, they've had good matches on their paid previews, and we'll talk about matches in a little bit. Um, but nothing start to finish like great shit. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, but that's where it was just trying to find their footing with um, storytelling. So that was the biggest problem with it.
What about New Japan paid previews? Obviously Wrestle Kingdom 17. We're coming up on WrestleMania 8. Wrestle Kingdom 18 in a couple weeks. Um, Okada defeated. Who did Okada defeat?
Osprey?
I want to say no. Jay White. Jay White.
Oh yeah, Jay White. Oh, yeah, that's right, because Jay White left.
Yeah. I mean, this was the first year that New Japan was like back in a sense of they had crowd reactions and whatnot, but the actual shows were kind of less memorable than they have been in quite some time. I mean, the only thing that really sticks out to me in my mind that I vividly remember is Naito winning the G1.
And Sonata winning the title.
Yes, Okay,
Only
and Suji making his return to New Japan. Okay, here we go. We got the ball rolling a little bit, but
yeah, we're getting there.
that only that's only moments and matches, not necessarily great shows from start to finish. You know what I mean?
I give them the benefit of the doubt because they had a bunch of moving parts.
Right.
A lot of their people were getting purged,
Do we count?
which I
Yeah.
can't get mad at that. Can't get mad at that.
Do you count Forbidden Door as an AEW pay preview or a New Japan show?
A Captain Planet show.
All right. Let's get into our top five women of 2023. I'll start this time. My fifth pick is a friend of the show, Space Jesus Billy Starks. Um, she absolutely killed it this year. She got signed to AEW. She arguably had one of the best matches Jade Cargill has had in her life. She's currently feuding with Adina. She wrestled Ronda Rousey. I mean, for essentially a rookie signee year, she really did a lot, and it's exciting to see her being able to do it. Obviously, I'm a little biased because we've interviewed her twice, so that's my
Um,
yeah.
I can't even argue that. I had her a little. Never mind. My number five is Bianca Belair
Bianca Belair.
for the first half of number five because for the first half of the year she was a fighting dominant champion that people got tired of, but she was consistent, very consistent. Um, had the match with Asuka. Hypothetically, I thought Asuka would have won, but the first half of 2020 year was a Bianca Belair year. I mean, essentially 2022 to 2023 was a Bianca Belair
Right.
era. So yeah, number five, Bianca Belair.
My number four, and this might be a controversial pick, Trish Stratus. She came in at the beginning of the year, and she actually stuck with the company for the next what, like 9 to 10 months. Feuding with Damage Control, getting another WrestleMania moment under her belt, having that amazing feud with Becky Lynch that culminated in that steel cage match where they absolutely beat the hell out of each other. Great blow off match. Um, and had she helped Zoe Starks elevate herself to somebody that is just, you're coming onto the roster to, I know who you are now because you are helping Trish Stratus. She was in her first ever ladder match at Money in the Bank. I could arguably say this might have been one of the best years in Trish Stratus's wrestling career. Um, and for that reason, she is my number four.
Man, dang, I had her higher too. But okay, so I have Billy at four.
Okay.
Uh, because to me, Billy was a culminated that Athena's run, which it put life into Athena's ROH run, right?
Right.
And for all the things that you mentioned, and this is just literally like her. This was pretty much her year, and she went to prom. I told her she was going to prom, but so yeah, all those things that you mentioned, yeah, and it couldn't have happened to a better person. Billy, sorry, number four.
Right. That brings us to my number three, Mommy, Rhea Ripley. She arguably the biggest star in WWE right now, especially in the women's division. Um, it doesn't, maybe not the best of matches, but she's been in memorable moments and memorable things that's happened. I mean, obviously, she won the championship against Charlotte at WrestleMania. She denied Selena Vega at Backlash. Nobody expected Selena to win anyway, but that's another story. And it just seems like when it comes to actual matches, she's starting to actually hit her stride. Um, but from a story standpoint, she has been in there every every step of the way, manipulating Judgment Day, helping Dom, keeping the guys in their place, and politicking a little bit as well. Um, you can't look at 2023 and not think Rhea Ripley or see that Rhea Ripley had any impact on the year because she absolutely did,
Mm.
and that's why she was
Oh,
number five. Oh no, three. Yeah, three.
three. My number three actually was Athena.
Hmm.
I think Athena from pillar to post has fought every person you can think of and came out on top. She was the bright light in a company that got bought from AEW and kind of is seen as an afterthought. I think Athena had her best is having her best title run ever. Ever. So and she brought up Billy, put Billy on to build that story up. So yeah, I couldn't have Billy without Athena.
Fair enough. All right. That brings me to number two, and that is timeless Tony Storm. She may have not started the year as timeless as she is. But I could make the argument her time in social, that's not social outcast. What the name of outcast? What was the name of the group? The Outcast.
Outcast?
Outcast, yeah, with Soraya
The
and Ruby
oh,
Soho.
right, Ruby Riot,
Yeah,
Ruby Soho, yeah. The Outcast.
I could make the
I thought
argument.
you were talking about the rap group at first. I was like, what, Andre 3000? I swear to God, that's
No,
how big of an Outcast fan I was. I was like, wait a minute, what does Andre 3000 have to do with this?
that's a different list, Kaliko.
I'm just telling you what it is.
Let, let's try and get back on track. She may have not started the year as timeless, but I could make the argument that her time in the Outcast was some of the best shit that she did in her career. It was her best attitude, her best look. It all clicked for the first, especially for me, who hasn't necessarily been the biggest Tony Storm fan in the past. Um, and then you go from, the outcast, the rebel looking badass, to a 1940s starlet, and it was literally the best shit any woman has done in maybe the last, what, 10 years, honestly? Like, it's such an original and interesting gimmick. How she does it, how she portrays it is phenomenal. It's entertaining, and I don't think anybody is going to be mad that, when it comes to her matches, she loads her ass. So, yeah, Tony Storm is timeless. She's number two on my list, and I think that's a solid pick.
Solid pick, man. I think, man, my number two was Bailey, and here's why. She was either involved or instrumental in everything dealing with the women's side as far as damage control and WWE period. The promos that she used to cut on those off segments that were like exclusives were good. People didn't pay attention, but they were good. She held it down while Dakota Kai was out, helped EO get the title, been over involved in getting helping the title. She's been like the mother hen, and it only is getting crazier because she sees herself being on the way out, and her story arc is right now is cooking. And you could just see that it's crazy because you see the Bailey that was there 10 years ago, right? Like I
Okay.
see it. It just seems like that outcast Bailey. Like it's like as much as she tried to suppress it, it's still there. And to me, it's 2024 is going to be crazy for her as much as it was for 2023 being involved in keeping damage control together. At least she thought in her eyes until it collapsed. So
And I think you know, everything that you've said about Bailey, I think we've yet to see the best of Bailey's work yet, because we all know where this is leading with damage control, where her and EO are going, and EO is a phenomenal wrestler. Bailey really hasn't got to show how good of a wrestler she is in quite some time. So I think it's going to be great shit coming up in 2024, to say the least.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
All right, that brings me to number one, the man, Becky Lynch. She may have not won. Well, she did win titles, but she may have not been the focal point of WWE in 2023. Everything she did on WWE TV mattered. Everything she did was good shit. Whether that was taking on damage control with Lita, her rivalry with Trish Stratus, um, winning the NXT Women's Championship and helping the girls down there. Everything she did for me this year worked. And like I said, when I mentioned Trish Stratus, she had that hellacious cage match with Trish Stratus. She had a hellacious no holds barred match with Tiffany Stratton. She she literally killed herself this year to have fantastic matches and elevate the women's division. You can't ask for a better, person to have on your roster that is willing to do that, be entertaining, be a draw for people to actually buy a ticket to see you, and have them invested even though you're not wrestling somebody of equal stature. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, for all of those reasons, that's why Becky Lynch is my number one. Kaliko?
Well, there's only one left for me, and it's Rhea Ripley. If there was a thread of sheet, she's the thread. She has been the thread in everything in WWE this year. 2023 Royal Rumble winner overcomes her biggest failure in losing to Charlotte at Mania by beating Charlotte at Mania. Dominant champion, helping Dom win a title, getting
Twice.
Judgment Day back together, helping them win a title, recruiting Drew McIntyre. That girl's been putting in work and then some. And she's the glue to every bloody story. She has been the glue for WWE this year. She, although her matches haven't been in her reign haven't has been more one sided, but make no mistake that what she lacked in the matches she made up for in those little details. Backstage talking to Drew McIntyre, helping making Damian and Finn get along to win the tag team titles, putting her body on the line so they could win the tag team titles, helping Don, like everything that Judgment Day is because of her, and that's why she's number one.
All right. Now, before we get into our top 10 men, top 5 men, I should say, um, what were some matches that stuck out to you this year?
Oh my God, what matches stuck out to me? Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest.
Obviously.
Just because of that crowd. I just, you don't, people don't understand how important their involvement is when they sit on their hands. Puerto Rico shut their ass. Um,
I won't discount
Sami Zayn,
I won't discount what Bad Bunny did in that match. To have a 20-minute match, not being a wrestler, with, arguably a guy that's going to be world champion in the next year or two, it's nothing to sneeze at.
oh, it's not, considering that he was on tour and took it off.
Right.
Um, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Roman, Montreal, the Usos versus Roman and Solo.
Yeah.
Um, those are matches you can just like landmarks. Um, like anything that was storyline based was probably, I think 2023 for wrestling, it's going to mark the importance of storylines in wrestling.
Right.
Because as much as Roman didn't wrestle, when he wrestled, it mattered.
Hell yeah.
And insane can be said for Seth, same can be said for Judgment Day, Damage Control. Like those stories are what makes it matter the most. Um, Even in New Japan, Naito getting his comeback, winning the G1 and going against his old mate this year. That's a great story.
Right.
Um, Even Jay White leaving New Japan in that promo he cut on his way out, which was a great story. I mean, it was just a good storyline matches. If it was a storyline match, it was bought in. It was all in. Even the War Games matches this year, the women's for sure was good. Um, but yeah, you can't say enough. Um, but those are the matches that stick out.
Obviously, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the Usos, WrestleMania Night 1. Another match from that card that sticks out in my mind is Dominic and Rey Mysterio. Arguably
Oh
one of the
yeah.
best storylines going in. If the Bloodline and Sami Zayn was story one, then the Mysterios was number two without a doubt. Um, it was so worth investing in, and the match was so memorable for so many reasons. It's a little disappointing they didn't follow through with that, but it's going to come back around eventually. We all know that.
Mm.
If we're talking about night two of WrestleMania, Walter, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, um, then on the other, obviously the Usos, Roman, everything that you mentioned was incredibly memorable. On the AEW side of things, maybe one of the only matches that had somewhat of a story was the Four Pillars match at Double or Nothing, which I actually
Hmm.
wanted to see, which is surprising for an AEW event. Um, and maybe it's for positive reasons, maybe it's for negative reasons. I think it's always going to resonate, and it's always going to be something for a topic of discussion. And that was Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Page, the death match at Full Gear. Um,
Yeah.
like you said, Naito and his whole G1 span was fantastic. Um, and yeah, um, Sonata winning the title. Sonata versus Suchi was phenomenal. Yoda Suchi. Suchi's been doing some great shit, and it's just a matter of time before he actually does it and gets some W's and belts under his waist. Another match that kind of sticks out in my mind from the New Japan side is Will Ospreay versus Soda Uno. Not too long ago. Soda showing that he's the fucking future of that business, of that company. Um, and to have that match with Will Ospreay at that time, it kind of was the perfect storm in my mind. Right. Um,
Right.
is there any matches that we're missing, or should we just go into our top five men?
I mean, I think matches can go on and on, man.
You're right. All right. Who's your top uh, who's your fifth pick of your top five men?
I might get some flack on this. Dominic Mysterio.
Hmm. Okay. Controversial to begin with.
And the reason being is because the best ability is availability. And he has been available for every win, loss, and everything in between for the last 12 months. He is yet to take a day off. He's been on all three brands. He's been a North American champion twice. He had, I ain't gonna lie, a fire intro at Mania. He had a fire entrance. I can't even knock it.
Oh yeah.
He had the spot of the night throwing the drink in front of his sister. That guy, yeah, it's time we give him his props. So for all those who like say that he's not really worth it, he actually earned his stripes this year.
Okay. Well, my fifth pick is Swerve Strickland. I think this was maybe a coming out year for him of to really show what he's capable of, not just as a wrestler, because we kind of already knew what he was capable of, but as a character, and that he can present himself in a high caliber championship way. Um, I think 20 if they don't fuck it up, 2024 could be the breakout year for him. But it kind of starts with this year with Swole. You know, good matches, big wins, killer soundtrack. Nana is arguably the most effective manager in pro wrestling right now. Um, so yeah, Swerve is my number five.
Hmm. Number four, and when he gets called up, he's going to be a star. Carmelo Hayes.
Mm,
That dude was killer this year. He was him this year. That match he had with Breaker, by beating Breaker, because everybody just thought Breaker was just going to happen forever. Beating Breaker, having that nice run, losing it to having that match with Dragunov. Now he's in that feud with Lexi King, but he's slowly getting with Trick, slowly starting to. That's gonna come to a head. I think he's starting to show his acting side, as we all knew he was a good wrestler. But to me, that dude's future is bright. So number four, Mellow.
my number four. You hear the first 10 seconds of his song at the beginning of every episode, and that's CM Punk. Maybe he didn't wrestle this year that much. Maybe he wasn't. Um, maybe he wasn't on ETV for that much. But nobody was talking about anybody more than they were CM Punk. He's a polarizing figure. Everybody talked about CM Punk. Everybody wanted to know what the next move was. Whether it was in AEW, whether it was getting fired from AEW, whether it was the eventual return to WWE. Who fucking saw that coming? It all mattered, and it was all interesting, and it was all a perfect storm in a way. I guess you could thank Jack Perry for all of that. Uh, but yeah, CM Punk. I mean, I said this a couple weeks back on the show. I have a friend knows nothing about pro wrestling. She the only thing she knows about pro wrestling is that I do wrestling with entertainment. We were talking, and she brought this up. She mentioned it to me. She said, "I saw yesterday that this wrestler guy came back after so long. Is that?" And it seemed like it was a really big deal. And I was like, "CM Punk," and she was like, "Yeah." For somebody that doesn't know pro wrestling at all, for her to bring up such a monumental moment in pro wrestling, it shows you that, you know, what power he had this year when it came to getting people involved in his story and what was going on. And that's why he's number four.
Three?
Yep.
He's your number three, right?
No, he was number four. You're on
Oh,
number four.
number four. Number four. Jesus Christ. He's number four to you? He got to wrestle for him to be my number four. Jesus Christ. Um, number three. Jay Uso.
Hmm. Okay.
That guy, his acting alone, his involvement in stories alone is warranted. I think he was the most pivotal character in the bloodline story of all time. He was the reason it basically is dismantled the bloodline. Got betrayed, left, came back. That pop when they said he was back was crazy. Um, Especially considering that they considered him as a tag team guy. So, like, for him to be this big as a singles guy is a huge deal. And of course, he had the tag team, the night one WrestleMania. He had the SummerSlam match with Roman that he was this close. That's another match we didn't bring up. Uh, Jay and Roman.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, he earned it this year, and I'm so happy for him. As a matter of fact, fun story. Um, we were watching the main event at WrestleMania night one. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, had my boy there. There's a girl. It was like a group of people in the back, and the lady started crying before the main event started. And she just was like, "I'm just so happy for the Usos to get this opportunity to main event because they busted their asses off to get there." Spoke volumes.
Oh yeah.
So Jay Uso number three.
My number three is a visionary, a revolutionary. He is Seth freaking Rollins. Um, Nobody could argue that he had some of the best matches this year. He won the heavyweight championship. It's making that title look a lot better than it actually is at this point. Um, and everybody sings his song. Everybody's excited to see him. Um, arguably has some of the worst outfits in all of pro wrestling right now, but that only adds to the character. Um, you know, he had an underrated match at WrestleMania against Logan Paul, which I felt was a memorable match to say the least for many different reasons. Um, like I said, banger after banger after banger, winning the championship. That feud with Nakamura was pretty good. The matches were solid. Would have been better if Nakamura won, but that's a whole other story entirely. Nakamura is
Yes,
doing some,
we can go there.
yeah, Nakamura is doing some of his best work as well. Um, and now obviously the stuff with Drew McIntyre, the Judgment Day, possibly CM Punk coming up. So yeah, it was a pretty memorable and spectacular year for Seth freaking Rollins, to say the least, and that's why he is my number three.
Hmm. Number two. Even though he wasn't there, he was there. Roman Reigns. People are going to go, well, he didn't wrestle, but he was the sun and everything revolved around him. It's just crazy. His actions has caused ripple effects for Jay because now Jay is fighting to undo the sins he did with Roman. Jimmy is out here trying to outdo himself to get back in the good graces of Roman. Roman showed vulnerability this year. Roman got pinned this year by his own cousin. To me, it wasn't more about how many times he had a match. It's the fact that every match he had mattered.
Right.
And when he took the loss, it was a shocking thing because we all just thought Solo was going to take that pin. And when Roman took the pin, it was crazy. I think Roman is still the sun. He's still the sun, and everyone's around him. Everyone's trying to either do things to be in his good graces, or they're trying to take the title off of him. But until that happens, he's that guy, and he's number two, and we have to acknowledge that. Longest reigning champion, 1,000 days. He's had that belt since COVID. Let's just put that in perspective.
Yep.
So
Okay.
yeah, number two, Roman Reigns.
And that brings me to my number two, which mirrors your number two. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, is my second pick. All of the reasons you said. Um, I could maybe he didn't wrestle a lot, but he arguably wrestled more than he has in the last 2 years combined. Honestly, um, he started the he started the year against Kevin Owens, which set off the year as we know it as 2023. It started with that match with Kevin Owens. Then you have the match with Sami Zayn, which was, an incredible moment. WrestleMania 39. You can make the argument, shouldn't have won, he did win. He went to 1,000 days as champion, which is unheard of in the modern age. He got betrayed by his family. He he lost his first match in 3 years, 4 years, I should say. The whole everything with Jey Uso was fantastic shit. The promos, the acting, the drama, everything that came around it was just fantastic shit. And you spoke about the ripple effect when it comes to Roman Reigns. and losing. Well, what about and just Jey Uso and the family? Well, look at Drew McIntyre. He, we're seeing the ripple effects of the bloodline on him as well, and to a lesser degree, Seth Rollins as well, because his whole title reign is about not being Roman Reigns, which involves Roman Reigns. It, like you said, it's the he's the WWE son. What revolves around him, and he arguably did the best work of his career in this last year. And maybe there wasn't a quantity of matches, but the quality of his matches were damn near perfect. 5 stars. Eat your fucking heart out, Dave Meltzer. So yeah, Roman Reigns is he should be number. He is technically number one when I get to number
Number
one,
one.
but
Yes.
well, I'll talk about that in a minute.
I know, and that's because it's like I can't think of a Roman match this year where I was not like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like, where you just left like it was disappointing.
Well, it was a little disappointing at WrestleMania, but that's
But
context.
but that's because people thought he was going to lose. It wasn't. It wasn't because of him. It was because of people's expectation.
Hmm, fair enough. Whatever.
Boy, you heard about that, boy. Everybody heard about that.
Yes.
I told you. I keep telling y'all, and y'all ain't gonna listen. Cody's story is with Seth, not with fucking Roman. Y'all gonna learn.
That's another
Which
guy.
leads me to,
I was going to say that's
yeah,
another
that's
guy.
another guy.
Cody. The ripple effects of the bloodline on Cody and not being able to finish the story. You know, again, it all revolves around Roman.
Which leads to the number one. And to me, it's Seth Rollins.
Hmm.
Um, if Roman is the son, Seth Rollins is the freaking foundation. Because every match he's been in, it's been good. He's been through every and anybody. Logan Paul, Nakamura, um, who else?
AJ Styles.
Um, AJ Styles,
Finn Balor.
Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor. He's defended that title more times in the first 4 months of his reign than Roman and MJF combined in 2023,
It's just saying something.
which says a lot, especially when you consider that title is relatively new.
It came out in May. Yeah, May.
Yeah, so you have to give that props where the props is due. Seth has been the day one A1. He defends that title like it's his last. I think he's like the Allen Iverson of the WWE. He just goes all out till he can't go anymore. And for that reason alone, he's number one to me.
Okay. That brings us to my number one. MJF. No, I'm joking. Fuck no. No. My number one is pretty obvious if you didn't get it from my number two, and that is Jay freaking Uso. Nobody has had. a better story in WWE than Jey Uso. And I'm not just talking about 2023. The last 3 fucking years. Everything that he's done with Roman, being the right hand man to being his own man to everything, it has just worked. And honestly, it's arguably the best storytelling WWE has ever done with one individual character. From the start of the year with Sami Zayn, which culminated into the WrestleMania match, main eventing WrestleMania, the match against turning on Roman, getting the only pinfall on Roman Reigns in the last 4 years, main eventing 3 of the 4 major paid preview PLEs. The only one he didn't main event was Royal Rumble. He main evented WrestleMania, he main evented SummerSlam, and he main evented Survivor Series. He was involved in the Royal Rumble main event, but he wasn't, technically in the match. From and like you said, becoming his own man, dealing with the ripple effects. It was all fantastic shit. It all made me want to watch. When he returned, when made him return, I didn't see it coming. I popped fucking hard for it, and I think hopefully his 2024 is just as good as his 2023. What
Oh,
about
it's gonna
you?
be hard to top, but it, yeah, that dude was on fire.
Funny, my number 3 was your number 1, and vice versa.
Yeah, funny
Yeah.
for the same reason. For the same reason. But it's I don't know. Roman to me is just I don't know. Those I mean, WWE had a great year in storytelling. It just now was every episode good? No, I'd be lying if I said it was. But the stuff when it mattered so much,
Right.
and that's what you care about, and that's what gets you going. That's what gets it hooked.
Was there any one of my picks that somewhat shocked you or you disagreed with?
I wouldn't disagree with a lot of them because to me, Swerve, I think he just came on at the half ladder of the year. I tried to look at it from a consistency basis with all my thing. I was thinking like, okay, who you see in my theme, it was just availability.
Right.
Everyone was available. All of those guys were available. Now Roman was probably the only exception because he got dates and this shit. But if it wasn't for that, he probably would have been there every week.
I mean, like I said, this was the
But
most available Roman's been in the last 3 years, honestly, and it was all for the sake of storytelling.
yeah,
But what is it kind of? I don't believe you had anybody from AEW in your top 5. You had
mainly. I thought about Swerve. I just Swerve was right that he's in the top 10 because the fact that he changed, he popped himself out. Um, Moxley was in and out,
me.
uh, especially with the Punk stuff. MJF, you can make the argument MJF. I think he's a viable top 10. Um, I just am trying to figure out where they're trying to go with him
right.
because it's almost like they're making him the I can't believe you love me when I hate you guy.
Right.
So I'm trying to gauge that out. No knock to his work at all. Um, but yeah, it was just like consistency. Like that's the only person that's been MJF and FTR has been consistent showing up. FTR has been consistent wrestling. MJF's story has been one of those freeways that got the little curve signal. Because one minute you're thinking he's with Adam Cole, next minute he's with Samoa Joe, and then he got a devil after him. It you know,
Yeah.
Vice, I can. It seems like the chaos is just for chaos sake. Vice, I saw Seth having to deal with, okay, Nakamura's on his ass because he's doing this. Finn's on his ass because they want the rematch. Then he's got Damien who could cash in. See, you see what I'm saying? Like
Right.
the threads there, right?
Hmm.
Drew's mad at his ass because he's losing to him. You see what I'm saying? It's those little threads. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You could see why the people are mad. I don't know why there's a devil chasing MJF.
Definitely thinks. I think it speaks volumes that we were so WWE heavy, especially when the men. Um, I think the only New Japan person that's in these lists was Cats 2 on my side of things. And you can make the argument that CM Punk is technically WWE because he is WWE right now, even though didn't start the year off. Um, but what does that kind of say about New Japan that they wasn't exactly on the radar?
It it's just because they're trying to build people now. They're in that build. I think they got so used to the Gaijins being there, not realizing when AEW formed, they knew it was the beginning of the end. So they've been either a delaying that inevitability to where now they're trying to figure out, okay, who's going to be the guy other than Okada.
Right. We shall see what
Naito, come
happens.
back up.
I was going to say we shall see what happens to Sonata when he loses the title. All right.
Yeah, it's looking that way.
All right. I believe that shall conclude our coverage of our top fives. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, but on YouTube and Castbox. Thank you for listening to us on your Christmas Eve. If you are listening to this when it actually drops. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah. Um, all the holidays that are around this time. Um, we're coming up on 5 years of wrestling with entertainment, and it could not have been done without our listeners, our fans, the people that keep us motivated to doing this stupid shit. Um, trying to make you laugh, give you some context to news stories. I hope that you actually want to hear our opinions on things that are happening in the wrestling world. You must because 2023 was our biggest year to date when it came to our interviews, and even our Saturday shows hit all-time highs in viewership. And here's to making 2024 year five even bigger than this year. Of course, this was sponsored by World Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us this Wednesday as we interview Katrina Creed. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on X, Instagram, and Dread. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Where can we find Kuligo?
I am Kaliko. Merry Christmas, Hana, Kwanzaa to you. Everybody should look that up. That was a dope ass commercial. A Virgin Mobile commercial when they tried to sell cell phones.
For Kaliko Yachts and Scooter Dust, I am James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Merry Christmas, Nick.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.